In fact, lots of people may not even check the pay slip, and that's something that we want to change, both in the UK and abroad as well. We want to help people really understand the pay slip, understand the contribution that they're making to the broader economy when they pay their taxes. I think the identification of the various roles is certainly a clear step that allows people to see there isn't just a route through operational payroll, there is a route into many other different areas. As you say, Nick, what we did a year or so ago in identifying more than 60 different potential roles there was a key part of that. Individuals can see that there is a career path and a career pathway that actually can take you into many senior positions if you wanted that.
Today's episode of the Payroll Podcast is sponsored by Deel. Now take a moment to consider the following pre-show scenario. Imagine you had to visit 6 different houses just to cook your dinner. One place has the pots and the pans, another has the stove, another has the food. You get the idea. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, the reality is most global businesses operate exactly the same way, using 6 different tools and platforms just to pay their global workforce. But now there's one platform offering truly simple, truly global payroll, and that's today's sponsor. That's Deel. That's Deel. And Deel's fully managed global payroll makes it possible to pay your entire team in over 100 countries and in over 200 currencies, all in one place. So whether you're an enterprise company, a small business, or something in between, Deel is built to meet your unique business needs. With in-house customer success managers, local payroll experts, and more, Deel's fully managed global payroll eliminates third-party handovers and instead provides unmatched compliance and flexibility. In fact, they'll even help you track and flag the latest changes in payroll regulations before they even become an issue. And with 24/7 monitoring and best-in-class security protocols, your sensitive data is always protected. So are you ready to change your global payroll system? If you are, click the link in the show notes to book your demo with Deel today. Hello and welcome back to the Payroll Podcast. My name is Nick Day. I'm CEO at JGA Recruitment Group. We're specialist payroll recruiters, and I'm really excited to welcome Jason Davenport to today's show because we're talking about something that I know is passionate to all of you listeners, and it's certainly something that myself and Jason are passionate about as well, which is National Payroll Week. We're going to find out all about what that week is, just in case you haven't heard about it, what you can do to get involved. We're going to talk about how we can really celebrate this profession and really drive its strategic impact as we go forward as well. Now, for those of you not familiar with Jason Davenport, let me just tell you, he's very much a key figure in the payroll community. I've had the privilege of knowing him now for about 2 decades. He's the chair of the CEO of the Chartered Institute of Payroll Professionals, or the CIPP, and his dedication and leadership has significantly influenced standards and education within the payroll profession. So he's the perfect guest to welcome to today's show to really talk about National Payroll Week 2024. I should also add that Jason has led numerous initiatives that have helped enhance payroll practices. He's really helped promote professional standards and professional growth in the industry as well. And his efforts continue to shape how payroll is understood and perceived and implemented across the UK as well. So our focus today is National Payroll Week 2024. Welcome, Jason Davenport, to the Payroll Podcast. How you feeling, buddy?
Well, Nick, thank you very much for such a long and illustrious introduction. That's kind of blown my mind.
Fully deserved, sir. Fully deserved.
Super excited to be here.
We know National Payroll Week this year is going to run from the 2nd to the 6th of September. So we're recording this a couple of weeks in advance. It's going to be the largest celebration for payroll professionals ever. So before we jump into that and what it's all about, let me ask you a question. I ask all of my guests. In fact, I've asked you this on the show before when you joined me in 2019. But what does the word payroll mean to you, especially in light of National Payroll Week?
Payroll is the glue that brings everything together. That might be a new one for you, but every employee, every business needs payroll to help it run. And payroll done successfully is absolutely what makes all of us tick. We're all there at the end of each pay period looking for the money that we've earned to be paid correctly, to be paid that on time, and to allow us to do all the things that we want to do. So at a micro level, it allows every household to continue to look at the plans and make plans for the future. At a macro level, incredibly, all of the payroll professionals and what they contribute to creates over £400 billion in taxes collected for the Exchequer, which makes a massive difference to our economy so that central government can make plans. So, yeah, the glue that sits between us all.
Ab- Absolutely nailed it. And you're absolutely right, right? The things we look out of our window and see and take for granted, the infrastructure of our roads, the things that our taxes go towards paying, they're collected predominantly through the payroll operation. So I mentioned I've known you for 2 decades. I'm pretty sure National Payroll Week's been going on for about a similar amount of time. So tell us a little bit more about its origins and what the week is all about.
Yes, you're right, absolutely. Since 1998, we first created National Payroll Week. And that was when the Institute existed in that way as an IPP rather than having the Royal Charter in front of it. It's always been about raising the profile of the profession. In fact, that's exactly why we went for Royal Chartered status, which not very many organisations have, less than 1,000 in the UK. Having that status helped to elevate the payroll profession and demonstrate that it sits on an equal footing with accountants, with engineers, and there's a real skill that's required in ensuring that what's delivered right for all employees and taxes and national insurance, etc., collected correctly is hugely valuable. So National Payroll Week is all about the promotion of the profession. We look to get governments, central governments involved. Last year, we received a letter from the Chancellor of the Exchequer, which was a lovely thing to receive those thanks. During COVID, of course, payroll professionals were identified as key workers to make sure that the UK PLC still remain to be paid. And indeed, what we're looking to do now is just continue that professional drive, uplift of the profession, and celebrate it, and actually try and reach much broader communities so that people can see payroll as a career choice.
Yeah, fantastic. And believe it or not, it's quite feasible that some of our listeners here may not be familiar with National Payroll Week. They may not even be familiar with the Chartered Institute of Payroll Professionals. We're still trying to broaden our reach, get more people involved in this fantastic community. And I know as well from our listener demographics, a lot of our listeners aren't necessarily in the UK either. But I would say that doesn't mean you can't celebrate the profession, no matter where you're based in the world. I know you've got resources, and we'll get to that people can download to really get the party started. But from your perspective, why should payroll professionals, no matter where you're based, and companies, of course, really get involved and take a proactive part in National Payroll Week?
I think from a celebratory point of view, for recognising that it's such an important element that has a real well-being aspect to it, to make sure that everyone is paid and paid correctly, to recognise those individuals that aren't thanked month to month. You very rarely pick up the phone to the payroll department and say, thank you very much for getting this correct. I do, because it means so much to me. But I know lots may not. In fact, lots of people may not even check the pay slip, and that's something that we want to change, both in the UK and abroad as well. We want to help people really understand the pay slip, understand the contribution that they're making to the broader economy when they pay their taxes. I know a lot can be said in a negative way around paying taxes. I think it's super positive. Look what we can achieve as a country if everybody makes the contribution that's expected of them, and how further forward we can go with regards to infrastructure projects and all the rest of it. It's interesting what you said there, Nick, about the international piece as well, because America, we're actually aligned with America. We both celebrate National Payroll Week during this same week. One of my challenges is to make sure that I can align with the likes of Canada, Australia, and so that they have National Payroll Week aligned at the same time. And hey, wouldn't that be much more powerful, us all coming together instead of it being disparate times? So Canada at the moment is a little bit later in the month, and South Africa and Australia I create a payroll day. Well, let's make that a whole week instead of just a payroll day. And I think there'd be a lot of power in that, in coming together across the waves, so to speak, and actually pushing all of the profession forward at one point.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And look, we're in an era of globalization where people now are processing UK payrolls from other locations in the world. And it's easier than ever, we know from a recruiter now, to place people to do those activities from other locations as well. So I couldn't agree more. It's really good to bring it together. One thing that I think is quite interesting with National Payroll Week is we get a lot of, and you and I will know this, this has been going since 98. We've been in this industry collectively for probably 50 years between us, Jason, if not longer. We know there's still a gap where people in payroll feel underappreciated. And some of that's because they don't get that call to say, well done. I think a lot of it, though, is due to a lack of understanding from other business units within an organization of really what payroll people do. And payroll people typically are perhaps a little bit more introverted than other professions. They're not always the first to say, hey, I'm doing a wonderful job, my accuracy rates are 100% and all this kind of thing. So I think this is an opportunity to plug that gap. It's an opportunity for people to say, hey, you know what? I think payroll should be recognized more strategically. I do want to have a more important role, whether that's at board level or not, it doesn't really matter, but I want to be seen as to show my importance and my value. But you're never going to get to that state if we don't start shouting from the rooftops what it is that we actually do. And I think this is a wonderful opportunity, a week-long opportunity to say, hey, look, you may not know what I do in payroll, but let me just show you what National Payroll Week is all about. And I'm talking about internally here with other stakeholders. Let's go and get HR involved. Let's go and speak to accounts, IT, that we celebrate this week because it is important. And this is my opportunity to demonstrate how. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great lead in, Nick, especially if you think of the amount of transactions that payroll individuals are involved in, where they sit at a central hub within a business that's paying out maybe union fees or it's paying out pension contributions. In enabling all of those points, it's still facilitating, pension contributions and having them dealt with by the actuaries correctly and applied on time. That's a significant part of somebody's future plan. It's not a today plan, but it's the future plan, making sure that's ready. Turning around and showing just how many transactions you may be dealing with, because some small businesses may have 10, 20 people, but some of the largest businesses we got hundreds of thousands of people being paid there every pay period, and there's a real diligence, there's a conscientiousness that sits within the payroll profession. That's something that kind of is within the skill set, I think. And when people find payroll or join the payroll world, it tends to be those really conscientious that we will get the job done no matter what. And we will make sure that everything is applied and correctly applied. They're really part of the skills that we want to shout about. But you're right, very often that's possibly an individual who's more introverted and not so used to shouting about themselves. So this is our opportunity to demonstrate to business, look just how important this asset is that you have here in terms of payroll and everything it provides to you. And actually the MI that comes from payroll. Now, a lot of what we're doing now is around analysis, that data analysis, looking at the management information that's available. That is super rich because typically labor costs can be 60% of a business's overall costs. So analyzing that, understanding it better, understanding what decisions you make as a result of habits that may be happening and overtime that's being paid here or sick pay that's being paid there, understanding more of what that data can provide to you for decisions to be made is a super important part of what payroll brings to the table.
Absolutely right. I think you raise an interesting point as well, right? That this is an opportunity where you don't have to be the lone wolf celebrating or talking about this. You can do this as a collective, as an industry. And you also, if you're not familiar yet, you're going to start seeing hashtags flying around where people are really promoting that. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But I think you highlighted some interesting points there around data. Never before really have we talked about payroll and that link towards employee experience more than we are right now. I think now it's really starting to maintain, get a bit of momentum really to talk about its strategic importance, because we get it wrong. Actually, there's a domino effect on other areas of the business, from talent acquisition, talent retention, all those things. If payroll isn't right, actually the challenges for other stakeholders get significantly harder, for HR to get those talent people into the door, and for recruitment and for accounts and all these different things. So it's playing a really central role at the moment, which I think is really exciting. It reminded me of, I don't know if you're a fan of Jimmy Carr, but he did a talk recently about how it's the best time we've ever lived in our lives, and how we now live in an era where we just take things like hot water for granted. Only 50 years ago, we didn't even get hot water. Now we take it for granted. It's just there. But if it suddenly stopped, the impact of having all these calories you have access to, hot water have access to, would be dramatic. And I know I'm making this dramatic, but ultimately, if people in payroll suddenly stopped working or couldn't do what they did, the impact would be catastrophic, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think I did see that Jimmy Carr clip as well, or at least one of those, that the references just how close in terms of history we are to where it was much more difficult. And we take so much for granted. You're right, Nick. It's taking a moment to take stock and go, hi, actually, this really works well. The impact today as well, we talk a lot more about well-being in more general terms, about work-life balance, well-being in more general terms, about making sure that we're taking time out for ourselves. But of course, financial well-being and knowing what is going to be paid into your bank account, knowing that that's correct, that has a massive impact on productivity. As a separate stream, I'm a mentor with Be the Business, which is a central government initiative around looking at SME businesses and how to help support them be more productive through mentorship. And productivity is a real key one. If somebody's focusing on an unexpected bill, something they can't, they didn't think they had the money to go and pay for, if that is a worry on their mind, then that's going to make them less productive in the workplace. Whereas if they know everything's working smoothly and I can get that money and I can expect to get that money when I get it, then it's one worry off the shoulders, if you like.
Absolutely right. When we feel like we can trust our employer, we feel more inspired. And I'm quoting Stephen Covey, who's been on the show, where he talks about trust and inspire. We need trust in our payslip. We need trust in our payroll process, because that enables us to have that more financial security in the way that we plan
Yes.
our outgoings, and therefore we can really manage hopefully our financial wellness and our mental health that's impacted by that as a result. So I think it's absolutely critically important. But let's take it into what the CIPP are doing, because you're driving National Payroll Week, you're driving events, you're driving activities. What are some of the things that participants of National Payroll Week can really look forward to? Hello, HR and people leaders. Are you not exhausted from the endless war for talent battle cries? I think it's time for a fresh approach. Which is why at JGA Recruitment, we understand the real challenges you face in sourcing top HR talent. And guess what? We believe we have the solution. Our team is on a mission to revolutionize your hiring process, because we're not just recruiters. We're strategic partners dedicated to finding the best HR and people professionals who align perfectly with your company's vision and goals. Let's break the cycle of frustration together. Join forces with JGA Recruitment and experience the difference in hiring better talent faster. Don't let another day go by without taking action. Contact us today by visiting jgarecruitment.com to discover how we can transform your HR team. And here's a bonus. When you visit us, why not sign up for our weekly HR newsletter? Because it's packed with invaluable industry insights and more. We really hope you can revolutionize your HR department by working with JGA Recruitment. Contact us today.
So yeah, in driving the awareness around this, we create a whole digital pack that's available for members to draw down and to show across their client base or their businesses. And that's all about, there's lots of reference material in there around payroll, but we also run a lot of webinars that are both member and non-member available, which looks at sick pay, which looks at holiday pay, which look at items like earned wage access, which is a real hot topic at the moment, and whether employers want to consider taking that on board and why they should, linking back to that employer of choice consideration that you mentioned a moment ago there, Nick. But we also, in driving awareness, there's a big opportunity for us this year with the change in government and making sure that we can hit the Labour ministers. And I would love to get a response from Rachel Reeves, just so she recognises the impact of the payroll profession. And as I say, going back to that 400 billion collected in taxes each year, it would be nice to see measure or note from government themselves, But these events,
Emma Reynolds at the same time.
Yes, yeah. These events are carried out throughout the week, and you're absolutely right about what you were saying about reach. There, we're the institute itself. We only have less than 7,000 members, and I know that there's more than 100,000 people out in the UK involved in payroll, and many hundred thousands more out in the world. So getting the reach and pushing to as many people as possible for awareness is hugely important to us.
Absolutely right. Now, I did mention earlier for those social savvy people out there that have their Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts and LinkedIn, that there are some hashtags which we're using to really help promote the National Payroll Week this year. It's something I'm excited about because for those that are regular listeners to this show, you'll know I've been banging this drum for a long time. But I want to try and get people to stop saying they fell into payroll because there's always a choice. And if we own the choice, we can really start to raise the stature of the profession. And I know about that because I used to say I fell into recruitment. There was a little bit of fear of saying, oh, I work in recruitment, but like a state agency. I didn't want anyone to know. I kind of fell into it. But the minute we start to empower ourselves by saying, you know what, I made the choice, and we start to really love the profession we're in, it's really empowering. And I know this year's theme or the hashtag is choose payroll. So what if you could expand on that a little bit for me, Jason? Tell us why that theme was chosen and what
Yeah,
message it really sends to the payroll community.
and thanks, Nick. And yeah, let me start with my own journey because hey, I chose payroll. I started life as an office junior, so left school without a broad remit of what I wanted to do. But my dad said, well, you don't just leave school, you go and get a job. And as an office junior, I was shown accounts and I was shown payroll, and it was in the construction industry. And actually, then I was working against weekly deadlines. And I found the understanding the working rule agreements, actually seeing the success, the completed package of a payslip and all the reports that go around it, that gave a lot of self-satisfaction to go, yeah, I've been responsible for that from absolute, creation right through to the final piece. Really enjoyed that and enjoyed that far more than the slow burn of accounts that took a longer time to go through a set of figures, etc. So yeah, payroll called me from that point. And so hashtag choose payroll it's been chosen. And for us at the CIPP, it's about recognizing payroll as a career choice. There are far more apprenticeships now available to not just to school leavers, but to people that are wanting to look to change careers. There's an education path that can support that, alongside obviously working within industry and gaining experience that way. And we're looking to promote payroll pathways and all those different career choices as much as we can. Um, I have to say I've been fortunate enough throughout my career within payroll to not just work in operational payroll. I've also worked in product design and development of new products. I've worked within sales and business development areas. I've worked globally, and it was that core payroll that provided that desire to know more and learn more that gave me those opportunities to go and do more and have had an incredibly fulfilling career. I feel incredibly blessed to be in this position now in terms of taking the CIPP forward.
100%. I know certainly I've been in a similar predicament, right? So when I chose to launch my business in 2008, the industry I chose, and I definitely chose it, was payroll. Passionate about it. I very much consider myself a payroll professional. Obviously, not someone that's transactionally, operationally processing payroll, but it's a community that's given me a wealth of opportunities, made great friends, great connections, yourself being one. It's a wonderful profession. And I think choosing payroll can be really, really empowering. I think what was interesting, you mentioned there the rise in apprenticeships and different opportunities and pathways. I know we did some collaborative work as JGA and CIPP where we recognized, I think it was about a year ago now, 60 different pathways. I know they've grown even since then.
Yeah.
So many opportunities now to work in this wonderful industry. But I think we can choose it. And I think if you're taking an apprenticeship or you're taking an educational course, as you discussed there, that CIPP offer, some people you say on the show to say, oh, I fell into payroll, I was lucky to find payroll. I think luck is being prepared for opportunity. And if you do one of these courses, what it does is it does prepares you for the opportunity to start a wonderful career in this wonderful industry. So I guess from my perspective, Jason, to ask you, if you're reflecting now on over 2 decades of the event, how have you seen the role of payroll professionals evolve, particularly in today's economic environment? It's challenging for many. And how do you see that moving forward?
I think the identification of the various roles is certainly a clear step that allows people to see there isn't just a route through operational payroll, there is a route into many other different areas. As you say, Nick, what we did a year or so ago in identifying more than 60 different potential roles there was a key part of that. Individuals can see that there is a career path and a career pathway that actually can take you into many senior positions if you wanted that. Yeah, so I'm not saying that that's for everybody. A lot of individuals are really happy to what I'm delivering and feel satisfied with what I'm delivering. But for those that want to move on, there is definitely that opportunity. And it's being more and more recognised. A number of our contacts are senior partners within accountancy firms. The whole, very, very reputable positions at both a UK national and at a global level, and they are highly sought after individuals. And I listened to something earlier that talked about global payroll and the fact that actually nobody will ever, never say never, but global payroll is always learning. There are so many different aspects to it. UK payroll is complex enough, by the way. So I'm very happy for everybody to stay just within UK and within the swim lane if they want. But I think that's what gives so much complexity, so much diversity. If I think about my own initial move into international payroll, a director of the business I work for came in and said, we need to do a deal in France. Anybody know anything about French payroll? A lot of blank faces. And you used the word trust before, Nick, and I put my hand up and I said, I don't now, but I can be in Paris next week. And I was. And I was there working with the French team and understanding as much as I could about French payroll. And that gave me an appetite to learn more and more. So you used the word trust, and I think also for individuals, it's being prepared. Be prepared to go that extra mile. Be prepared to push yourself out there, because opportunities will absolutely come your way. You just have to have your eyes wide open to them and be able to grab them when they do.
Absolutely right. And of course, there are good agencies out there like ourselves and others that can help you on that journey as well if you need support. But for sure. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty, because for those that are interested in improving their preparedness, for want of a better word, they want to improve their learning. I mean, this is the 1 week where there are more activities than ever before. CIPP do a number of activities, opportunities for learning, or webinars, events, workshops, loads of stuff going on. So how can our listeners really get involved? They want to find out where perhaps they can enhance their learning. I know that on your website you've got a calendar of events and things. I wonder if you can just give us a little bit more information.
Yeah, so across that, we're going to, across the week, as well as the kind of celebration and the digital pack that will be shared with lots of information within it, we're also going to run updates from our CIPP policy team. We're going to run advisory clinics, and that's where people can just drop in and ask questions around it. We're going to look at earned wage access, as I mentioned a moment ago, which is kind of a new feature that's been driven by the US gig economy, but absolutely there's 1 in 10 employers are now providing that as a feature within their payroll structure to allow people to get hold of earned wages earlier than the normal pay date. We'll be talking around that. We've got a lot of bite-sized training that's going to be pushed out during that week as well. So individuals who just want to freshen up and make sure their CPD is up to date, etc. We'll be doing things around holiday pay, which is always a moving feast, and statutory sick pay, which you can catch up on as well. Those pieces, as mentioned there, Nick, they're all on the CIPP website, so people can get information from there to drive what they might want to choose to be involved in. Really importantly, on the Tuesday morning, we're also running for the second year a brunch club for newbies. So people who are new to the industry, people maybe just starting an apprenticeship or starting within an organization within their payroll team. We're running that and that session down in London, face-to-face session, and it's all about listening to others and the careers and how they've unfolded and the career choices they've made in terms of driving in different directions. And I think that's just really useful as a networking event and opportunities to speak to others who've made the decision to join and move to payroll with hashtag choose payroll as the hashtag that sits behind that. Lovely to welcome new joiners and have ambassadors around the table that are there to talk about payroll and why it means so much to them.
Fantastic. And I have to say, look, if you're listening to this, maybe you're not working in payroll at the moment. Maybe you're interested in finding more about the sector. Maybe you work in bookkeeping or in accounts or in HR or a completely different profession. If you are interested in becoming a CIPP member, if you want to find out more about this wonderful profession, reach out to myself directly, reach out to Jason directly. We'll put our LinkedIn profiles in the show notes. Yes. We are really trying to encourage new people into what is a fantastic industry. So if you're listening to this and you're on the fence, not only is there a great brunch event next Tuesday, which you can go and attend if you can get there, but certainly there's a wealth of information either myself or Jason can send you about this brilliant profession. It can lead you into the right start, I guess. Now, as well as training, I guess the other part of this process and this exciting, you mentioned there's a digital download pack. I really want to dive in on that for a minute because there's an opportunity for those that do love payroll who really want to amplify their celebrations. They can do so. And there's a little bit of a helping hand the CIPP are providing in what is a digital pack of things and ideas and a bit of a resource library really to really get you involved in National Payroll Week. Now, I will put a link to that download pack in the show notes of this episode, so you don't need to go anywhere, just click straight through and click through. I will add, while I remember as well, a link to that career pathways download, which is also on the CIPP website. And if you are listening to this in audio and you can't get to the show links, it's cipp.org.uk where you can find everything. But back to you, Jason. So what are some of the things people are doing to celebrate this week, and what other ideas can we think of to really help amplify those celebrations?
So the digital pack has quite a bit within it, Nick. We've got posters, we've got bunting and e-cards, we've got different wallpapers and web banners that are available, and we've got the templated letters that we've sent to governments as well as part of that, so people can see how we've requested support. And as I mentioned earlier, we received that letter from the Chancellor. We do an awful lot of sharing in terms of pictures. We do a lot of cake making, which is always goes down well when you're celebrating. Cake is the best form of of food for celebrations. And we look to try and promote those pictures of individuals and teams that have, they put the bunting out, they put out the different fact cards, the e-facts, etc. And we were running quizzes and things like that as well as part of it. So it's a celebration across the whole. And hopefully, if you're, you talked earlier about the recognition within industry. If you're a payroll team that's working within a broader business, it's make sure that those e-cards and those wallpapers are up there and present and visible for people to ask that question, what's all this about? Tell me more. This is about celebrating success, yeah.
Now, I'm going to do a shameful plug here, Jason. I haven't done this for a long, long time, but I think it's relevant. And if you're in it, particularly for a Friday, if you do love payroll and you want to sing about it, I have done a song which is all about loving payroll. It's called Matey's Laughing, because last year for National Payroll Week, I got my whole company to lip sync this. And it is available on video. But if you're interested, go into Amazon Music or iTunes, whatever your favorite platform is, and Google My Payroll Career. And you can find a very catchy payroll song that can help you get get the party started, shall we say. Well, look, Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today's Payroll Podcast to talk about what is a really important week in the payroll calendar. It is, of course, National Payroll Week 2024 from the 2nd to the 6th of September. Do not miss it. Do go to the resources in the show notes of this episode so you can download your free digital pack from the CIPP and access some of the other resources we've talked about today. I'm going to thank Jason for his invaluable insights, for your ongoing commitment, of course, to the payroll profession. To everyone listening, please do make sure to mark your calendars for National Payroll Week. Please do get engaged with the activities and the resources planned. And thank you, of course, for listening to this show, subscribing to this show. And this is your opportunity, everyone. Share this episode with your payroll colleagues and friends. Let's really build that 7,000 members that Jason's talking about. Let's build the payroll community as a collective. That's what this week is all about. So, Jason, ever so much, thank you. Thank you to you, our listeners. I've been your host. My name is Nick Day. Loving the next episode real soon. Jason, thank you.
Thanks very much, Nick.
Today's episode of the Payroll Podcast has been sponsored by Deel, the all-in-one global people platform that simplifies how you pay your global teams. Deel's fully managed global payroll makes it possible to pay your entire team in over 100 countries and in over 200 currencies, all in one place. So whether you're an enterprise business, a small company, or something in between, Deel is built to meet your unique business needs. With in-house customer success managers, local payroll experts, dedicated points of contact, and more, Deel's fully managed global payroll eliminates third-party handovers and it provides unmatched compliance and flexibility. In fact, they'll even help you track and flag the latest changes to payroll regulations before they even become an issue. And with 24/7 monitoring and best-in-class security protocols, your sensitive data is always protected. So are you ready to transform your global payroll system? If you are, click the link in the show notes and book your demo with Deel today.